Hello, I'm Doug with Totally Rad, and today I wanted to tell you a little bit about a new feature in PixelSugar version 3.1, which allows you to create your own filters, which is kind of amazing. And the way we do this is using what are called lookup tables, which is basically a special image or set of data that describes all the changes you would normally make with adjustment layers and other filters and whatnot. And it's actually a pretty simple process, so let me walk you through it, and hopefully you'll be off soon making your own lookup tables and happily bringing your own customizations to PixelSugar, even above and beyond what it already allows. So, first thing we're going to do is open up PixelSugar. Make sure that you have updated to version 3.1 or later if you have not. Go to this new menu here. It says Lookup Tables, and there are a couple items, one of which is to create a new lookup table base image, LUT for lookup table, and the other is to just show us the folder where PixelSugar expects to find everything. So create your base image first, tell it where you want it. In this case, let's just shove it on the desktop, that's fine. And that's gonna give us, on our desktop, this new PXS LUT base image, which is a special 64 by 64 pixel image that basically has a rainbow of colors. And by applying filters to that image and re-importing it back into PixelSugar, we're telling PixelSugar how images should be changed, regardless of how complicated all the steps are that it took to get there. And let me show you what I mean by that. So we're going to take this base image and actually import it into the editor of our choice, in this case Photoshop. You can leave it as is with no color management or apply the sRGB profile so that it gets managed that way. You don't want to bring this in as Adobe RGB or anything else that's going to mess up the results. And all we're going to do is basically apply whatever actions or filters or adjustments we want to this tiny little weird image and save it back and then re-import it into PixelSugar. So in our case, we could add a curve adjustment layer here and do some stuff. And maybe we want to bring the saturation down a little bit. And maybe we want to warm the image up a little bit using a photo filter. So all of these things that we've done are the kinds of things you're going to find in the adjustments or the layers palette here as adjustment layers for Photoshop. Those kinds of things are the kinds of operations that we can add to an image that the lookup table will accurately capture. Things like if it's in the filter menu, for the most part, we should probably stay away from it. Anything that blurs or sharpens the image or has what I call spatial dependencies, where the value of the output pixel depends on its location in the image or the surrounding pixels, geek alert, those kinds of things don't work. But in this case, we have three adjustments that can be captured as Photoshop adjustment layers. And what we're gonna do is flatten it. I use Shift Command E, that's my shortcut for that, merge down. And we're gonna save as, and we're gonna give it a new name here. Doesn't matter what you choose here, smallest size is fine. And then we're going to go to PixelSugar, and we're going to use this other menu item to show us the place that the lookup table images go. So this user LUT folder is a special place on your computer where we can drag any of these images that have been saved with the changes to the base image, not the base image itself. That would actually work fine, it would just do nothing. But this one called My Lookup Table. And then when we restart PixelSugar, you're going to see a new category at the very bottom here that says User with your new lookup table. Now, the things that you're going to have in this filter are the exact same things that applying those steps would do to an image if you were to create adjustment layers for each of those steps in Photoshop. In other words, if we did that curves layer and that hue saturation layer and that photo filter layer in Photoshop, it would produce exactly the same result as the lookup table we just created does for us in PixelSugar. The cool part about it, though, is that unlike actions or other manual processes, you get all the benefits of using it in PixelSugar. You can instantly preview what it'll do to your image. You can apply it to multiple images at once. And you can really quickly, you can even actually, this is kind of cool, you start with 100% of the effect. You can also go and increase that even more to get a stronger effect than you initially had. And you can use these sliders down here to control the amount of color change that that whole operation produces, or the amount of luma or like brightness contrast change that's produced by it. So that's really the process in a nutshell. Now, It gets even cooler though, because what you can do, and what I've found handy, is to just use this lookup table process to capture actions and bring actions that aren't in PixelSugar into PixelSugar. As an example, without getting into using maybe other companies, you can use other companies' actions, it's okay. But if you do and you want to use them in PixelSugar, then you'd go through a process similar to this. So say we wanted to use Lux from TRA2. Now there's a couple of variations of this. Lux Soft has, when you run it, all these layers. These two are adjustment layers. Those are fine. This, however, when you see, instead of one of these adjustment icons here, if you see what looks like a thumbnail of the image, then that's a raster pixel art layer. And typically, at least the way I used to design actions and the way I've seen competitors design actions, that's the kind of stuff that would sharpen or blur an image or add grain. The kinds of things that are going to make our lookup table inaccurate. So if you see that, that's kind of a red flag. You can either turn that off and get a like kind of a variant of what that action would do without that contrast, local contrast sharpening, blurring, or whatever, or pick something different. In our case, Lux Hard is an old action that we sold in TRA2, and that is just comprised of 3 adjustment layers. So that's going to be fine. So using that as an example, once again, just merge it down using Shift-Command-E, or you can go to Layer and Flatten Image. And then we're going to save that, and we're going to save that in here as a new lookup table. Now, the other thing we can do is we can actually create, come back here, we can actually create folders within this Lookup Tables directory, and that will allow us to organize things, and the presentation in PixelSugar will follow the organization you have here. So normally it would just be under user, a kind of a generic group, but if we wanted to, we could say TRA2, and we could put Lux Soft in there. And then once again, if we restart PixelSugar, then we'll come down to the bottom here and we'll see, hey look, there's this action from TRA2 that I just made a lookup table from. I've played with this with other companies' actions and stuff I found on the internet over the years, and it's really astounding how quick and easy it is to produce lookup table versions and re-import them into PixelSugar, and it's like just a great toy box. You can have hundreds and hundreds of different things that Totally Rad didn't produce, all stuffed into your own groups down there. So go play with that, make a ton of lookup tables, share them if you want, tell us what you're doing and what you want and how we can make this process easier and better for you, because I think it's a lot of fun and it's a huge boon. Also, make sure to follow us or subscribe to our channel and hit us up on the PixelSugar user group to tell us what you think. Cool, bye, thanks.